Welcome to episode 53.1
Happy holidays!
of
Merry
the Retro.
Christmas!
Happy Holiday! Oh my God. We had a little false start there. Hopefully everything's okay now. Sorry about that to anybody who's watching live. I upgraded OBS today. What an upgrade. I'm telling you. What
Mistakes.
an
Mistakes.
upgrade.
Yeah, no, downgrade.
Yeah.
Downgraded OBS. Would you like to downgrade?
Oh my God. I actually think I need to get a better video card in here. I have like an RTX 2060 in this machine, and I just don't think it's enough. I think I gotta put
Do you
something.
have two PCs for stuff?
Yeah. The gaming PC has a 3090 in it.
Oh, you're fine. 2060 is fine. That's what I run.
It doesn't seem to be. Getting hammered over here. Poor thing. This
Poor thing. Oh, honey.
Oh. So,
Yeah,
man,
don't
we
you
got a
hate
lot to go over. It's been like 4 weeks since we had an
that?
episode.
4 weeks.
We had a chance to play some Chrono Trigger. I got absolutely hooked on crack over the break.
I
Man.
have a story about that actually. Completely unrelated.
But you went to CES, and I kind of want to hear all about it. Like, what did you do at CES? What were you up to over at CES? What happened?
Yeah, so I was in Vegas. I was invited by Cooler Master to go and basically work the event. And so, for anybody who's not familiar with CES, which I think is wild, that there are technically
What's
inclined
that
people
mean?
out
They
there
put you in a bikini and you're kind of like showing off all the
that don't know what CES is. Yeah,
there's all the
right.
coolers.
God,
There's
just
all the
steer
masters.
steer clear of everything if that were to happen, because nobody wants to see that. CES is the Consumer Electronics Show. It's probably, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably the biggest technology convention in the world. And if for anybody who's like been to PAX or something like that, it's like PAX times 5 at least. Um, they held the CES at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which is like at least 4 individual convention centers, all like there's like sky bridges attaching each one. And then for CES, they also like rent out a bunch of space at some of the bigger resorts on the strip and stuff like that to have, other it's like it basically takes over the whole city. It's wild. And I've never seen anything quite like it. They had different buildings for like different areas of technology. Like one of them was completely just automobiles, but it was like futuristic automobiles, robotic automobiles, racing, farm equipment, trucking rigs, like all sorts of stuff in like one building. And then another one would be like consumer electronics, like TVs, video games, computer stuff in another building. And then one had like healthcare stuff. And I didn't even get to see everything because I only got to go to the actual convention center for maybe 3 hours. Um, because what some smaller companies, which comparatively speaking, Cooler Master is a smaller company compared to like Samsung and Toshiba and all those like
LG, all
big
that.
companies. So a lot of kind of smaller computer companies will rent out space in other resorts in the area and kind of put on their own little show basically. And so Cooler Master rented out some space at the Palms. They basically rented out an entire restaurant at the Palms for the entire weekend.
Is that like a
And
steak restaurant?
um they have multiple restaurants in the hotels. The one that
Okay.
that Cooler Master rented out was called Green Street,
Oh, okay.
and
The
I don't even
Palms
know
isn't
what
the name of the restaurant. It's the name of the casino or the hotel.
yeah,
Okay.
Palms Resort Casino. And so you go in there and they had it like all kitted out with all the Cooler Master stuff. They had um like a couple of streaming stations, and then they had, like the peripherals, the keyboard, mice, all that stuff. And then they had like technology that's not even consumer technology. Like they had this giant egg looking thing that you would see, like a $20,000 machine, basically, that you would see at like an internet cafe or something that has like a convertible top that comes down. It's like fully immersive and all that stuff. So my job was to go and I think I did the most streams. I did 4 like 2 1-hour streams for Master Cup XP, which is like their kind of esports arm that they sponsor. Cooler Master does. And so I played a couple of games for that and then did a couple of streams on our channel. showing they're coming out with some streaming products. So a capture card, microphone, some lights similar to like the key lights and stuff like that that Elgato has. And there's some other technology that I can't even talk about that's like going to be more revolutionary as opposed to coming into the space. So I showed some of that stuff off, and
I saw
then
those
I
key
showed
lights, and the coolest thing I thought about those is they have magnets in them that you can stick gels to change the colors of your lights, which is really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Not to
So
make
that
this a
was
Cooler Master ad, but
yeah,
they're
no,
cool.
it was yeah, and then I did another stream where I kind of went around with my phone and kind of showed the different products and talked, and they did like they love doing giveaways and stuff like that to folks all over the world, which I think is super cool. They're always huge proponent of charity stuff. When I reach out, they're like, "Yeah, let's just send you a bunch of stuff for charity." Um, so yeah, so that was my main reason for going, right? Was to
Yeah,
work the event. I've never worked an event for a company. So it was like getting my feet wet. Like I was really worried about making a good impression. I wanted to like be early to everything and like be available when needed and all that stuff.
yeah.
And so then I really only got to go to the convention center for like 3 hours because I was like, okay, I have this break. I'm gonna go. And then I did one poker tournament on
Oh,
Friday night,
nice.
which ended
Yeah.
up being an 8 hour tournament because I did win slash chop it
Okay.
for a significant sum. And then I had to stream at 9 a.m. the next morning, and so the tournament ended at 3 a.m., and I didn't even get back to the hotel till about 4, and I had to wake up at, like, whatever,
That
8
sounds
a.m. or
like a
something like
Vegas
that.
decision, though. I
It
mean,
was
if
no,
you're gonna
I
go to
mean, like,
Vegas, if you're gonna go to Vegas, that's the kind of decision you got to make.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm the kind of person when I go to events where I wanna make the most of my time. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not going there to relax. I'm going there
Right.
to meet people, to hang out, to create experiences, to have good food, to work, to do whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it was
It's not a
basically
vacation.
no, no, definitely not. It was 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, came home Sunday, and it was just a whirlwind,
Yeah.
but it was awesome. It's a
Okay.
cool
You only
experience.
got to go on the show floor for 3 hours. What did you see? Anything cool on the show floor?
There was, I tweeted about a thing, so you'll like this. When you get a media pass for a convention, you start getting all these media emails, right? Like, "Come check out our thing, blah, 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 blah." One of them caught my eye before I even went down there. It was called The Handy,
Okay. You have my attention.
and it's exactly what you would expect. Really. I mean, and they had the adult video awards or whatever, like, the same weekend too, but this was at CES. This is a technology. It
Yeah.
was
Well,
under the health and wellness umbrella building,
sure.
whatever, and, the
I'll
email
buy it.
was like it was like, pleasure through community or something like that. So, basically, it's a device that can mimic, like, if you're watching a video or doing VR, something like that.
Oh,
It's
like
this
so the video can have like programming in it to like simulate what's happening in the video?
correct, and then you
Oh,
have that experience at home.
this is the
Uh,
beginning of the end of the human race.
yeah, we don't need to make children anymore, we have these
No.
devices. Uh, so it was this whole funny thing, like, kinda laughing ironically a little bit at it and the really serious messaging that they're really taking themselves seriously, and,
Yeah.
yeah, and the product messaging and everything, and so I was just
Chat
walking
said, "How many
around one
did
of
you
the
get?"
floors. Yeah. I was walking around the robotics. It was in the robotics building, and then, like, the far side had all the health and wellness stuff, so I was just like, I was basically trying to get as much foot traffic in as I could in those 3 hours,
Sure.
and I walked past it, and I was like, "Oh, there it is," and half the people at the booth were, like, really curiously interested in it, like, buying stuff,
Mhm.
and then the other half were, like, taking pictures and giggling and, like,
Yeah.
just to be expected.
Yeah.
And so I took a I took a little video and tweeted it ironically, "Here it is, best of CES 2023." And it got like the tweet, it didn't have a ton of likes, but I think it got like 70,000 views or something like that. And there were some non-ironic retweets of it from other like health and wellness products,
Yeah.
quote unquote, of like, "Oh, look, they had such a really good booth." I mean, like they did a good job presenting this stuff, but it's for me, going to a technology conference and seeing this stuff, like, I get I start to, like, blush a little bit. I'm like, "Who's looking at me looking at this thing?"
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a mask on, so I was like but there was a lot
Oh
of
yeah. No sickness, no
no,
pestilences
not
brought back.
not so far, not
That's
so
good.
far, fortunately. But there was a lot of international people at that booth too, like, "Ooh, hey," like, in other languages, like, really, really interested in the product. So, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever floats
It
your boat,
sounds
I
like a big
guess.
seller. I'm not gonna lie.
$200 for the unit. What is it? Like $40 per sleeve. There are different types of sleeves. It's a one size fits all machine, apparently, as they claim. Like, that was in their verbiage. It's like, what is a fucking snapback hat? Like, what are we what are we talking about here? It was funny. How many did I get?
Yeah.
Did not.
Well,
I am a cheap
that's not
I'm
what
a
I
cheap
expected
dude.
to hear, honestly.
No. 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 But there was a lot of really cool, like, vehicles and robotics and some scary stuff too, like fully automated machines and
Yeah.
it's a little concerning. I don't know. It's that shit worries me, man.
Yeah.
The autonomy of the world. It's cool, but also terrifying to me. With all the videos and movies and shit that come out about that
Right?
stuff.
Haven't you ever seen fucking Terminator?
Like,
They made like
where it's
5
just
of them.
yeah, it's self-fulfilling prophecy over here.
Right. Oh man. Well, all right. Well, I know what I'm going to ask for my birthday.
Uh, yeah,
um okay, so we got some more discussion topics. I just wanted to ask you a question. Uh
sure.
all right, I want to set this up just a little bit. This is what I'm asking is, do you have a favorite bad game that you loved, but it was because you didn't know any better? Like, looking back, you realize that game wasn't that good, but at the time, I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. And maybe it was because I was so young that I just didn't know the difference between a good game and a bad game, and I just loved that I was playing a video game. Do you have a game like that?
Um, so I guess bad is subjective, right?
Sure.
So stuff like when I first got my Game Boy Advance, I remember really enjoying I bought Tony Hawk 2 for the Game Boy Advance, and I played that like completely on its own for like a road trip for like
Mm-hmm.
8 hours or something like that. And it's not a good game. It's not
No.
very playable or anything like that. Or we didn't get to buy a lot of games. So something like maybe Aladdin for SNES, which arguably is a great game for
That's
some
a great
people. Some
game.
people some
It's
people
just
think it's too
slightly not
difficult.
as great as the Genesis game.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, TMNT 1 we played a lot of, but
Yeah.
some people think it's not a very good game.
I disagree. I think that's a great game. Okay, great game, maybe not the phrasing I should use, but I think it's a good game. I think it's got problems, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other stuff too, like I remember specifically playing a lot of Batman for Game Boy or Battle Bull for Game Boy or Puyo Pop for GBA. Just like weird glimpses of times in my life where I played specific games and just I don't know. It usually happened when there was new systems that came out, I feel like, when there wasn't a lot
Oh,
in the
sure.
library.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now that you say that, I'm thinking of Shadow of the Empire for the Nintendo 64.
Sure. Oh
Generally
yeah, me too.
not thought of as a great game these days, but I was blown away when I
Yeah,
first
at
got
the
it on the
time when it
N64.
first came out, yeah.
Yeah. I was really like, wow, this is amazing. This is really a next gen experience. Now it's not really looked at. Actually, another game interesting is Empire Strikes Back for the Atari. I believe it was
Hmm.
for the 2600. I don't actually have this game. My uncle had it, and I'd only go when I visited my aunt and uncle, and I was so little that I don't even really remember like the controls or the graphics that well, but I remember just wanting to play it all the time. And he had a bunch of
Mhm,
games,
mhm.
but that was the only one I wanted to play.
Yeah. Stuff like
Um,
Wave Race 2, which was an early
no,
N64
Wave
game,
Race
I
was
believe.
good.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was a good game.
like, going back to it now, but yeah. Or yeah, there's a lot of stuff where I go back to it now and I'm like,
Really? Wave Race isn't good anymore?
I don't just N64 games are hard to play in general for me, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Mario
It's
Golf
just
still holds up like motherfucker, though.
yeah, because it's
Arguably
slow.
the best game on the N64, argued mostly by me.
I mean, I remember playing and really enjoying that when it came out for sure.
Yeah, it's a really good game. It's really charming. It's really fun. It's really easy. Actually, it's not that easy. I have another question for you. No, wait. The next one is your
This
question.
was
Actually.
mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could only choose one systems library to play forever, like you're, stranded on a desert island and somehow brought one entire library with you, what would it be?
Mm. Desert Island, the only system I could have, but I get the complete library, right? There's no
Sure.
restrictions. Everything that was put on that system, even if
Mhm.
it's remakes. Like if I chose the Switch,
No.
I would
No,
get the
no, no, no,
Teenage
no.
Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, like, it's semantics, but yeah.
Because honestly, I think that'd be the way I would go is with the Switch.
Okay.
Because there's so many like classic collections. There's so many NES games. There's so many Super Nintendo games. There's so many Genesis games, N64. Like all of these systems have been brought on there. Plus, there's all these collections like the Neo Geo collections. Plus, there's new games, right? There's plenty of new games. I think the Switch might be it. Plus, it's
I
portable.
feel
It's
like
perfect for beach life, you know?
I feel like you're cheating a little bit, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
And somebody in chat said, "Oh yeah, I'll just bring my Switch with hacked with all my emulators and ROMs." No, if you're bringing them, it's
Oh, wait, I'll
no
bring my
emulators and
Mister.
ROMs. It would have to be a Switch game, like, a
Like on,
released Switch game.
it's got to be a physical copy of a Switch game.
Sh well, yeah, because most digital stuff is, like, older games, like virtual console type stuff
Yeah.
or indie games. For me, I SNES doesn't even have that many games in the library if I remember correctly, but SNES also has some, like, NES collections. You have the Ninja Gaiden trilogy,
Yeah.
you have
That's
Super Mario
terrible. Have you ever
All-Stars.
tried it? It's terrible.
I have it right up here.
It's awful.
Didn't they fix some of the stuff in the Ninja Gaiden trilogy, though? Like
Like a
the
hacker has gone back and like fixed it.
No, no, no. The 3rd Ninja Gaiden, you know how you couldn't save it or whatever? They made it so you could save before the final
Maybe
boss
it
kinda thing.
just feels bad though. Like the movement of
Oh,
your character, like it doesn't.
really?
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. And then there's also the TurboGrafx 16 version, which is okay, except it's got this bizarre thing where the parallax scrolling in the background is scrolling the wrong way.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh my
I
god, it's
think we
so weird.
talked about that at
Yeah,
some
it's
point.
fucked.
I don't know. I think I'm just a such an SNES homer that I'd have to
Yeah,
go with SNES.
the SNES. I wonder, like, if you took average scores of all consoles, like I
Sure.
wonder if the SNES would be pretty high up on the list because there's just so many like really, really great games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Best in class
be-
type games,
yeah,
yeah.
like fondly remembered as best ever games. I'm sure that's true with any system though. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like, oh yeah, that's great, but there was twice as many on the PS1 and there was twice as many of that on the PS2 just because the volume of software was so much
Sure.
higher.
Sure.
Well, it could just be, I'm definitely a 16-bit. That's kind of my favorite era of game, I would say. It's funny if you look at my Switch collection. There's so many 2D like platformers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Retro style. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I buy controllers for that based on how good the D-pad is because that's all I ever use on my Switch.
Right.
Uh, Speaking of using D-pads, I fell down a rabbit hole over the break, and I was actually watching. Do you know Metal Jesus Rocks?
Yeah.
I was watching one of his videos, and he casually mentioned a couple of shooting games on the PS4 that both looked really fucking cool. One was called, dang it, I forgot the name. Cinemora, and one was called. Dang, you'll have to go back and anybody who's interested. I listed them all off yesterday on SideQuest. But they're shooting games,
Yeah.
and I got way into it, and I I ordered a ton. Jay, I ordered 10 PS4 games and 10 Switch games. Like every Switch, every game I could get my hands on off of eBay or wherever. And the fucked up thing about shooting games is they don't get wide releases because they don't sell well. So they're all like limited run games, all, strictly limited, all those like boutique sellers. So I started ordering these things, and like to get like Battle Garega that came out in 2016 on the PS4, it was made by M2. It wasn't made by M2, but it was ported by M2. It's like a $200 game. To get, some of these cave games like Esperata, it's like $80, $90. It was, oh my God, it's so expensive, but I had to just like, consume them all. So I got just stacks of games. But what I really found that I liked is like these cave shooters from like the early 2000s, late 90s. Are you familiar with these? Like these bullet hell shooters where just like waves of bullets come down at you, and you're half trying to shoot the bad guys, but you're half just like moving your character like in between these waves of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I bought so many games. It was ridiculous.
And those are like newer releases on the newer consoles, yeah.
Newer releases, but mostly they're older games because there's not a whole lot of people making these anymore, right? Because they're not in fashion. It's like I don't know, it's like point and click adventures. It's there's still people who like them, but there's not a whole lot of them coming out anymore.
Sure.
So a lot of the ones I bought were cave games or Psychio games, arcade games, basically, that got ported to the 360, and then that port got ported to the Switch or the PS4. It's been interesting.
So yeah, Briar put in the notes that he's freebasing shmups.
I am. That's all I want to play right now. The thing about it too is that I found that there's certain shmups I like and there's certain shmups I don't like. R-Type, I don't think I really like R-Type. I don't like that aspect of when you die, you lose all your equipment and you go back to a checkpoint. Like I found that very frustrating, and I often just like lose interest in the game. Whereas with these bullet hell shooters, where if you die, you just you respawn right where you are, and you try and collect all your power-ups that you just lost, but often you can, and then you're kind of just right back in it. Like you're not going back to a checkpoint like with no chance of success. Like I kind of feel like you are with R-Type.
Right.
So it's been interesting. I think I like that kind of like late 90s, early 2000s, like bullet hell shooter a lot, which is new, and I'm really excited about it.
Interesting. Is there anything that made those releases feel different than like old school ones to give you that feeling of wanting to continue playing them?
Yeah, it's like I stare at the screen for however long I'm playing, whether 10 to 30 minutes, and I'm like unblinkingly, because you cannot take your eyes off for a second. It's like to pause the game, there's so many bullets on the screen that you could die just trying to pause the game. So it's just like this ultimate concentration and this ultimate focus that I have to have while I'm playing this. It's like tunnel vision, right? It's like everything else disappears and I'm just thinking about this game. It's a very compact but very intense fun factor, if that makes sense, right?
Sure.
And it's really fun to try and get better at the game and try and work toward getting like a 1 quarter clear, right? So you just put in 1 quarter to get all the way to the end of the game.
I was wondering if there was like progression differences or something where like the power-ups are different, or the progression stuff feels different.
The hardest one that I've gotten was Battle Garega. And this one, it's really fantastic to look at because like the ships blow apart and like they're really fantastic ships. The graphics are really cool, for the late 90s. But this one, Battle Garega, is messed up because the more power-ups you get, the higher your ranking goes, and the higher your ranking goes, the harder the game gets. So you're really trying to teeter-totter, like how powerful do I want my ship to be, but also not let the game start like really beating my butt, Battle Garega is on the Analog Pocket too. If you do the the arcade download thing, it's on there.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice,
dude. You gotta do that. There's this Pocket downloader. It's so easy. All you gotta do is like put the SD card into your computer, click this Pocket downloader, and you're just done. You're done. So easy. And like
I
you
yeah,
get
I
like
haven't done that yet.
you get like 40 arcade games before, like you don't even have to worry about it. 40 arcade games just like get shot right onto your device.
Yeah, very soon they're gonna have pretty much every library on the Pocket. Like, it's just gonna I feel like it's gonna be, kind of the end all be all retro device. So,
Well, I don't know if it's powerful enough. Like the Mister to me is kind of like that, but I don't think you're ever gonna see like PS1 on the Pocket.
oh, I mean, like, okay, so anything before what? 32-bit and
Yeah, I'd
before.
guess Neo Geo is probably as powerful as it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But still, that's a lot, and it's all handheld, and it's all run through hardware emulation. It's a hell of a device, and it works in your hand
Yep.
or on the TV screen, and they just keep making the thing better.
Yeah. It's cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
Hopefully
so
they
I've been
continue to
just
produce them so people can pick them up too.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing, right? Hopefully they can start getting them. So we got some news. You want to go over the news?
Absolutely.
So I don't know
Most
if
of
you
this
saw
stuff
this. You're more into this world than I am.
sure.
But WATA graded a Castlevania Rondo of Blood repro, and it was briefly on eBay. I think they were selling it for like $1,500.
About 4,000, I think,
Oh,
right?
my bad. Four grand for a repro. It's unclear if the seller knew that they were what they were doing, but it's pretty clear that WATA didn't know what was going on. So WATA,
Sure.
it really kind of throws a wrench at like, what is WATA grading? Like, how much do they know about these things? If they graded a, also, wait a minute now, because like, did they grade this repro knowing it was a repro 9? Like, I mean, this repro is in good shape. So, like, what does that even mean? Like, to grade a game?
To be fair, I feel like there's two scenarios here, right? The more likely scenario is that either the person who sent it in knew better, because to be fair, the only way to really know if it's a repro or not is like this tiny little piece of plastic on the side or something like that. Like a jewel case. Sometimes they have like a little half circle. Like we're talking, I don't know, sixth of an inch, an eighth of an inch of plastic that's different or something on the side. So it's really, really subtle. Um, and the person who sent it in like knew what they were doing and they were trying to pull a fast one, right?
Mm.
Or they're just ignorant and somebody sold them something that they sent to WATA.
But even if it is a small, minute difference, WATA should have caught it, right?
WATA should have caught it. But to be fair, I think most of the time when games get sent into WATA, like it's one person like grading it, right? It's not like it goes through a whole slew of people to double check, triple check, quadruple check. There might be like one or two people that are doing this. And also especially for like PC Engine games, there's probably not a ton of people that are super schooled up on every single detail about
But if
all
that's
those
the
games.
foundation of your business to grade these things, to be experts on them, then you need to be an expert on it.
I agree. I'm just saying. And this isn't the first time that WATA, and I'm not trying to defend WATA here. I'm playing out the scenarios of what potentially
Yeah.
happened. I don't think WATA it's not good press. Like, why on earth would they purposefully do that? Like, I don't see it. I
It
don't
doesn't
see
seem like
WATA being
WATA
like, no,
intentionally did it.
I
Yeah.
don't see them being like, yeah, we're gonna push this through and make a bunch of money. I think it's just literally they missed it because
Yeah.
this kind of bad press is not going to help them in any fashion. You
No.
know, um, so they have made mistakes before. And a lot of these grades are subjective. There are people that'll like resend stuff in and they'll get a different number and things like that. Like, um, it's not good. But again, this is like a company
Really? They
that
resent stuff in and it got a different number?
individuals have resent. I
Wow.
mean, for any grading company, it could be PSA, it could be VGA, it could be, grading numbers are subjective.
Do they
Um,
do they list anywhere on their website like what the criteria is for a grade?
Sure, they have examples, but somebody could see an example and give it a slightly different number.
Sure.
It's not going to be like, okay, one person gives it a 9.5 and the next person gives it a 7.2. But the difference in price in auction between like a 9 and a 9.2 or a 9.4 is astronomical. So some people sending something in to try to get a slightly higher grade is worth it in some
Mm,
scenarios, you know?
yeah.
But like I said, like PSA, Beckett, people resend in like sports cards, Pokemon cards to get higher grades because one person could be more stingy than another as a grader.
Yeah.
It's like the Olympics. If you're scoring, it's all subjective. Somebody's opinion gives a different score. It's the problem with subjectivity and stuff like this. There's no like machine, counting each little imperfection in whatever to grade stuff. So at its core, grading is subjective, which is it's a flawed system to begin with. And then you add something that's as hard to find as like a PC Engine game sealed like this too, like how often has a grading person, even somebody that works at a grading company seen this specific game and been
That
able
argument
to
doesn't hold any water with me because that's the whole point of that's the purpose
yeah,
of the whole
yes,
enterprise. Like that's
yes,
if you can't tell the difference between a repro and a real one, then you have no purpose of existing, or at least you're not doing the job that you've been hired to do.
sure. But as a human, mistakes happen, right?
Sure.
Um and really what WATA should do is they should create some kind of um agreement or terms that say like if you buy uh something that is graded by WATA, it is guaranteed to be authentic. Therefore, if it accident, if something comes through and we grade something that is inauthentic, we will refund you the purchase price or something like, you know what I mean? There needs
Yeah.
to be some kind of guarantee there to be legitimate because mistakes happen. Like, people are human, and mistakes happen. Do I think WATA did this purposefully? No. Do I
No, it
think it
doesn't
was a
sound
huge
like they did.
mistake?
It does sound like
Absolutely.
I don't know. It does sound like maybe the seller did.
Yeah. Apparently, the seller's going after anybody that is like trying to point this out to with legal action or like
Oh, that makes them
takedowns
seem
on
innocent
YouTube and
too.
stuff like
Yeah.
that too. Yeah. So, yeah. If somebody's motivated enough to pull a fast one, like there are some really effing good repros out there. I've seen multiple times, dozens of times, people will be selling inauthentic stuff as authentic on eBay, like box complete copies of Little Samson, Bubble Bobble 2, like really expensive NES games. And people keep buying them and I keep reporting them and they're just up. Like
Hmm.
people are getting scammed left and right. You got to know what you're buying. I think anybody who buys something like this needs to know, they need to know like what a legitimate copy looks like too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting all the blame on on the people involved. It's absolutely blamed on WATA as well, but there needs to be a guarantee from WATA, I think.
This one made me very sad. Bitmap Books is pulling their unofficial Genesis / Mega Drive visual compendium. I bought several books from Bitmap Books, and this one I
Sure.
was really looking forward to getting because I have a soft spot in my heart for the Genesis, and I've bought their other books. They're just so in depth, such beautiful artwork. To know that this book is done and not be able to get it, that's too bad. That's really sad. Apparently, Bitmap worked with Sega on the official Master System book, but
Hmm.
Sega did not want to continue that relationship for the Genesis book, and so Bitmap continued with it on an unofficial basis. But Sega's lawyers went after them and shut it down, which is really too bad.
I'm kind of confused as to like how this can be a copyright issue. I'm
Well,
curious what
all
Sega
that art
did.
is copyrighted, right? All of it. Like all the manuals, all the art on the covers of the cases, all of the graphics in the games, it's all copyrighted.
Yeah, I guess profiting off the sale of the stuff, it makes sense.
Uh,
It's just really strange that at this point, after they've made all these books, this is the one that gets pulled.
yeah, especially after they worked with Sega on the Master System one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was looking forward to getting this book, but
bizarre. I mean, they've done a bunch of Nintendo stuff too, and
Yeah.
Nintendo is much more litigious with with their stuff.
Yeah, right? Isn't that weird? You wouldn't you would it kind of feels like out of left field, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wish there was some way we could lobby Sega to let this one through, you know?
Yeah, right. Some kind of start a petition, get internet petition.
Right?
Got to get 10,000 signatures.
Atari and My Arcade are launching a new home console this year. It's kind of details on this are a little weird. Like it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what this is, and they have pictures of it on their website, but it's all renders. The renders look cool as hell. It looks like it's a
Mhm.
retro Atari console, but the joysticks are all new and like it looks like high quality, but it's all renders, so it's hard to tell what this stuff is going to actually be.
Sure.
Um, My Arcade does not make awesome stuff. In fact, they're still releasing stuff with like composite, like the yellow, red, and green, or the yellow, red, and white hookups. Which,
Mhm.
like, what do you even plug that into anymore? you know.
Gotta
But
have a
they've said this is
converter
going to be
probably.
HDMI, so this might be their first HDMI. Atari is under new leadership, so maybe they're going to turn around, like, because they've been kind of floundering a lot lately.
Well, the VCS is just it's hemorrhaging at the moment too.
Dude, that VCS was on sale for $100 at one point. I wish I'd known about it. I would have picked that up in a heartbeat, just to use it because it's a PC. It's just a PC.
Yeah, yeah.
So to have a PC case that looks like an Atari, that's worth $100 to me.
Yeah, sure. My I'm getting a little bit inundated with too much Atari stuff this last year or two, to be honest. Like there's so much, and a lot of it is not um
Good.
complete. Like, it's just like, okay, it'll have a handful of games or whatever. And I don't know how many people are this nostalgic for Atari stuff. Like,
Well, did you play the Atari 50 collection?
I have it, but I haven't played it yet. I've heard good
It
things.
is outstanding.
Yeah,
It is the new high bar to which all like of these collections will be measured.
sure.
Because what it does is it starts you on the path of Atari's history, almost like a museum, like walking through a
Hmm.
museum, and it's got video interviews and it like goes through like, all right, here's Pong and here's the people who made Pong and here's some like fun stories about finding like 50 Pong machines in the middle of the desert. And here's now you can play Pong. Like here's Pong and you can play it. Oh, and by the way, we also made a brand new version of Pong with new graphics and everything. You play that as well. And it goes on and on. You can do all the Jaguar stuff. You can do the Atari 5200, all the Atari arcade stuff. Dude, if they made this for anything else, I'd be over the heels. If like they could get Nintendo to do something like this, if they could get Sega to do something like this, it would be, because I'm kind of with you. Like Atari's, it's just not my jam. It's just like
Right.
but I was enthralled by that collection because it's presented as a museum piece as opposed to here's a list of 50 games, give them a shot.
Right. 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 But I mean, here's a list of 50 games. That seems more like what these are. Uh,
Yeah,
who
probably.
did the collection? Was that Digital Eclipse?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they did the TMNT collection as well, right?
They did, and the TMNT collection was good. Like they had a lot of the art, they had a lot of stuff. But I mean, this Atari thing
Wasn't as
was
complete, yeah.
holy smokes, man! Like there's some interviews in there that are hilarious. There's so much content in there. Besides
Nice.
just,
I
I
need
think
to
there's
check it out.
8 brand new games that they made. Plus they funded a brand new Jaguar emulator for this
Mhm.
project, which they then released to the public. It's really an
Cool.
experience. Even for like, I'm with you. I don't have any nostalgia for the Atari. It's just before my time. And frankly, I find the games boring mostly. Like I
Yeah.
don't find a lot of entertainment value in them.
I mean, I get that it's the Atari 50th anniversary and they're trying to go all out, but it just seems
Sure.
weird to be having all of these parallel products as opposed to focusing on a handful. It's just they look cool. Don't get me wrong, these are cool, like, collector's pieces, and I'm sure that folks that are nostalgic for Atari stuff are gonna pick them up because 'cause they're different, they're cool. They're different ways to play them. There's, like, a little handheld version that looks kinda like the new Game& and Watch systems. It's kinda small, that form factor. There's, like, the mini arcade thing that works and stuff, but, like, you're not gonna be playing that little mini arcade. It's just gonna sit on a
No,
shelf, you
yeah,
know?
those are for a shelf. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I wish the best. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm a little apprehensive about these 3 specific things, the My Arcade stuff, I
Yeah.
guess. They were at CES, by the way. This
Were they?
stuff was at CES, yes.
Was it like
I
really there? Like you could see it?
I'm pretty sure I walked past it. I didn't quite understand what it was because I didn't, read, like, the press release and stuff, but I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's good they've got, My Arcade Atari stuff here. That's cool." And I just kept walking, you know? It was just it was like a little stand. It wasn't like a big display or anything. It was just kind of a little kind of in the middle of the floor, and I just kinda walked through it, and I was like, "Alright, on to the next."
This one I threw in here, it's not exactly news. This is just like, hey, here's a little public resource for anybody who could use something like this. Port Check Express created this, I don't know, database, I guess you would call it. Basically, he takes all these controllers. People send him to controllers. He buys his own. Then he uses this special program that he developed in the Mister, I believe, to test latency on controllers. And
Mhm.
there are a ton of controllers on here. There's just a lot. Everything from like PS5 DualSense to the Xbox controllers to, like the dark matter that you can get off of Monoprice, like all sorts of 8-bit do stuff on here. So like if you're looking for a new controller, like it's really actually pretty cool to go on here and like, oh, is this controller any good? Like, is it gonna like add like 4 frames of latency to my gameplay? One of the things I learned is the PS5 controller, very low latency controller, especially when you compare it to the PS4 controller.
Hmm.
Uh,
I
but
remember we went through a very similar, it might have even been the same person, but was it for a different system? 'Cause we've seen this site before.
oh, we have.
I remember I remember talking about it. I don't know if it was because this is specifically for, like, Mister.
But this works for everything, right? So like, I use this to look up for Switch controllers too. Like,
Okay,
I'm
okay,
looking for an arcade stick for my Switch. So I'm gonna find one that's low latency because the low latency
sure,
is gonna be on the Switch. It's gonna be on the PS4. It's gonna be on the like whatever you hook it into.
right. It's good to know that 8-bit do stuff is generally pretty good, it looks like, which is
Generally,
awesome.
you got to be a little careful. Some of their stuff is a little higher, like their older arcade stick is a little weird. Their new
Mm,
arcade stick that I use all the time, faster over Bluetooth than it is by plugging it in with USB.
hmm,
Who
that
would have
makes no
known?
sense.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, wild. It's cool, though, it's cool list. I'm gonna bookmark this, or I already
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good little utility. I'll try and remember to put it in the notes for today. But if you're looking for it, you could just type in Mister controller latency, and it'll come up in Google. Mister controller latency.
Mister, yeah.
Um,
Hmm,
oh, some loony nut ported Castlevania Symphony of the Night to the Sega Mega Drive. And it looks good. It's not done yet, but when it is done, I think I'm gonna be playing this one. It looks outstanding. There is video of it, and it looks surprisingly good. I'd say better
yeah,
than the Saturn port.
movement's real smooth.
Yeah, right. Um, I mean, it looks like Sega Genesis Castlevania. Honestly, it looks great.
And I'm listening to the audio, it reminds me of, like, Altered Beast soundtrack, but, like, with,
Okay.
like, a Castlevania, you know what I'm talking about? The bow, or maybe
Yeah,
even, like, Sonic. It's very Genesis style music, but it's good.
yeah. I don't know how much of this he has done yet, but I'm here for it.
That's cool.
I'm all
I
in.
mean, how much different does it look like, from the PS1 version?
It looks a lot different.
A lot different, because
Yeah.
I haven't played the PS1 version. It's just one of those
Oh,
things
really?
I own, but I haven't played it, yeah.
Oh well, you're in for a treat. That's a good game. Actually,
Briar's like,
I got a copy of that from Limited Run in the mail today.
"Oh, nice."
the PS4 disc that has this and Rondo of Blood on it.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, this one was kind of cool too. Somebody went and hacked Mortal Kombat 2 for the Sega Genesis. They kind of tried to make it like more arcade correct. There's video of this Master Linquei, Linkuei. If you Google that on the YouTubes, you can find this. They fixed the colors. They added some more animation. They fixed some of the sounds. It's a pretty impressive update. You got to hack, you got to go to romhacks.net, but that's a pretty easy thing to do these days. I thought it was cool. You don't see a whole lot of love for the Sega 32X these days.
Yeah, right. Going back and watching this always reminds me just, that it's like the motion cap stuff that they use for Mortal Kombat. It's always wild. And it's like, these are actual people doing these moves.
Yeah, right?
This is always fun.
There's video. Ed Boon, who's one of the co-creators of Mortal Kombat, a couple of years ago, I think he was tweeting out like videos and pictures of like the original.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Oh, we did?
We talked about it, yeah. And he's like, here, can you try to do like this and that and this and that? Yeah. It's fun.
I'm sitting here waiting for like an official collection of Mortal Kombat games. Like, where is that? Why hasn't that happened?
Digital Eclipse needs to get on it.
Right? Oh man, Digital Eclipse would be perfect for that because
did they do some of that Street Fighter stuff that came out too, the anniversary stuff?
Yeah, I think they did. They did the Ultra Collection, and I think they did the 30th anniversary.
I'm on board with them just kind of taking all this retro stuff and making collections out of it.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Good job.
M2 though, also great. M2 out of Japan are also fantastic. But yeah, a Mortal Kombat collection would be super fun.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time at this point, I feel like.
Man, I can't believe it's been this long though.
Yeah. All right, so the next piece I thought was interesting. I mean, Gran Turismo is considered retro at this point, right? Because it was PS1. They're coming out with a movie in August.
That's hilarious.
And there's like this little clip. It's like a 1-minute sneak peek, and I'm not sure if it's CGI or if it's actual like cars. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, but they have some fairly big movie actors. Orlando Bloom and David Harbour from Stranger Things.
I love David Harbour.
Yeah, so they're in this movie, and it's directed by Neil Blomkamp.
What? Really?
Yeah. So I mean, how bad could it be, right?
I'm gonna watch it. 100%. I'm gonna watch it.
So it's funny. It comes out. It was announced at CES, which
really?
I didn't know. It was just in the news that I want to look it up.
I like how they got the cameras like mounted to the cars.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat. I'm 100% gonna watch this. It's
released on my wife's.
I don't give a fuck.
It's released on my wife's birthday.
Oh,
so
well,
I'm be like, hey, honey, happy birthday!
Perfect date night.
Yes.
Yeah, bring it to a movie and a nice dinner afterward.
I'm sure my wife will be thrilled with the thought of going to see Gran Turismo on her birthday. We'll be the only ones in the theater. It'll be great.
No way. I'll be right next to you.
I rented the theater out for you, honey. Look.
Look at that.
That's what a
kind, caring husband I am. They also announced at CES that Gran Turismo 7 is going to be on their new VR2 headset, the PSVR 2 headset. So a lot of Gran Turismo stuff happening.
Yeah.
Calling Gran Turismo retro, though, that's like kicking me in the nuts. I don't like it.
It's a PS1 game. I mean, it's.
I don't think PS1 is retro. I don't know.
7 or something like that, right? Well, when did PS1 come out?
All right, it's retro, but shit.
94. Excuse me.
94. It didn't come out in 94.
The PS1.
The PS1 came out in 95. Maybe it came out in PS4 in Japan.
Oh, that was Japan. Yeah, I guess.
But Gran Turismo didn't come out in 95. It came out in I bet 97, 98.
Okay. 97 December. So it almost exactly 15 years old.
Dude, there was a 500 lap race in Gran Turismo that
I remember that, dude. I remember. Yeah, my brother.
What was that car that was like? It was made for that off-road track that went up the mountain. What's that called?
I don't remember.
Pikes Peak. It was like a special car. It was like by far the fastest car in the game. and I just blew that race out of the water.
How long did it take you? Like 4 hours?
The perfect amount of time.
It created a core memory for you.
Yeah, totally.
And the last piece of news we got is Nintendo Switch has surpassed the original Game Boy / Game Boy Color and Pocket in sales to be the top third most selling console of all time. So a little bit, I don't know, sad moment maybe, but now Nintendo Switch has sold almost 119 million units, which surpasses the Game Boy's 118.69. Nice.
Wow.
The only thing that is ahead of the Switch at this point is the original Nintendo DS and its iterations like DSi and stuff, and the PS2, which PS2 had like a 13-year lifespan, and the Switch is only at like 6
PS2.
now.
I don't think the PS2 will ever get dethroned. It's just too big.
I mean, if the Switch can somehow stick it out for another 4 years, I think we'll see it get dethroned.
Do you think it will? I feel like they're gonna come out with like a new Switch. It better be.
I mean, even if it was even if it was like a Switch Pro, it would still be under the Nintendo Switch umbrella, unless it was like a Switch 2. I don't know.
I mean, what's the difference in numbers between where they are now and what the PS2 sold?
PS2 is at 155 million plus.
And they're at 119?
In 119. But they got the 119 in half the time that PlayStation 2 took to get 155. Wow.
Well, that's because every fucking household has like 4 Switches.
Yeah. Switch
you really only need like one PS2, but man, you need a bunch of Switches.
Yep.
That's the news. That was all the news. All of it.
Every single one. Yeah, we didn't leave a single piece out.
You're all caught up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the service we provide. You're welcome for that.
Yeah. There was some other stuff, but I was like, eh.
That's not important enough for our viewers. Our viewers don't need to be burdened with that boring information.
Sidetrack my wife is currently asking me, have you ever heard of Mod Pizza?
No.
Okay, so it's basically a build your own pizza kind of place, and they have like a bunch of things and
fun.
So she's asking me at this particular moment what I want on my Mod Pizza.
What do you want?
I usually get like half pesto, half red sauce, and then I do like a few different kinds of cheese, and then I do some weird shit. Pepperoni, black olives. I do some broccoli on there, actually.
I can't get down with it. You had me until you said broccoli. I was like,
even put corn on it.
Corn?
Because they put it in the jar.
You're fucking with me now, right?
No. It's delicious.
Like, and then look at this gullible motherfucker. I've been telling him I put corn on a pizza.
little bit of pineapple, and then they put a balsamic drizzle on top.
All right, everything sounds okay. I mean, I'm not down with the broccoli. I understand some people like it, but corn is just stupid. I'm not buying it. I think you're lying to me.
No.
You're telling me fibs.
No, I'm not. I don't lie, Briar.
You know who wouldn't lie to me? Chrono.
Yeah. Very honest cat.
He is, man. He's a stand-up dude, right? So this week's game was Chrono Trigger. Jay, how did you play this game? Because there are several ways to play it.
So to be honest, I didn't get as much time as I wanted, but I did play the DS version a little bit on the plane on the way to CES and such. They actually have you can pretty much play it authentically as an SNES version experience for the most part. There's like some options, but I think there's still like the extra videos and things like that on the DS version.
Yes. Okay. I think that's where those were first created. There was some new videos created for that version, and then I think there was some new stuff created for like the cell phone version as well.
I will take your word for it. I don't know for sure.
I bought the Steam version. I wish I remembered how much I paid for it. I think it was around like $20.
But similar to the DS version, isn't it?
It's based off of the cell phone version.
Oh, okay.
And when it first came out, it came out to horrible reviews, but according to most people, they really fixed it up quite a bit. They changed the fonts and everything. They changed the scaling. They changed a bunch of stuff to just make it a much better port of the game. It's widescreen. Excuse me. It's widescreen. I played it on the Steam Deck, so I was like you playing it portably, which I think is kind of perfect for this game because you just kind of want to cozy up with this little guy. You just kind of want to hold him, snuggle like a little kitten. It's such a delightful little game. I put about 12 hours into the game. Unfortunately, and most of that honestly was like right around Christmas, and then I got severely sidetracked by shmups. Like severely sidetracked by shmups. So I'm planning on still finishing the game, but I have not finished the game yet. I did finish the game way back when, and I didn't really remember that I had done this, but I had played the game way back when, and I did finish it because now I kind of like it's all jogged in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I remember all this now, and I do remember actually finishing the game. I thought I hadn't played the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not get nearly as much time as I would have liked.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm going to continue to play on the DS. I have my 3DS, and it's a solid way to play with the cursor or the stylus, like, choosing things and going through and whatnot. The experience is great. I just, with the holidays and the kids and going to CES and all that stuff, it's just been kind of a whirlwind month for us, unfortunately. But we had this whole scope of 4 weeks, we'll get it done. It'll be fine. We'll just binge Chrono Trigger. It's just
yeah. Well, so. I mean, I was lucky because I had like 2 weeks off. You were still working.
yeah.
Yep.
I
actually think it's kind of perfect to play it portably though, because like these modern versions, you can just they have save states. They have like when you turn off the system, you can just start it back up where you were. You don't have to be in like it's when you're in the overworld you can save, but when you're in a dungeon you can't, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. But
or like even
on Steam Deck you can just save anytime you want.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you could theoretically just play like the ROM on the Analog Pocket or something like that too.
Oh yeah, sure. I kind of wanted to check out like a newer version of it though, just to see what they had done.
Same. For some reason, I figured you'd play the SNES version. I was like, oh yeah, I'll play the DS version.
Yeah. Well, who Mav just played it, and she told me she played the Steam Deck version or the Steam version. It was awesome, so I kind of wanted to check it out.
Nice.
She loved it. She fell in love with it. She's now playing actually Final Fantasy 1. She's gonna play all the way through the series. Oh shit! Wow. This is a piece of news that we forgot to talk about. Honestly, did you see that Square released the physical copies of the Final Fantasy collection 1 through 6? Yeah.
Like limited run or what?
Not through like another company. On Square's website, they did it at like 3:00 in the morning on like January 2nd, and sold out immediately.
Oh, yeah. Like in what format?
The Switch. I think the Switch and the PS4.
Physical version Switch.
What's that? Physical version.
Physical version Switch. And is it the Japanese? Is it the Japanese 1 through 6 or American 1 through 6?
I believe it's both languages.
Okay, because there's always that confusing. It's kind of weird how they transferred the 1 through 6.
I don't think they do that anymore. They just refer to them in the Japanese sequence. Square does, because they released them all on Steam. They've been releasing them over the last couple of years, and it's that version. It's like these re-releases that are coming out, but they're now finally coming to consoles. But they've been on Steam for a while now, so this was a big moment because these are like the remastered versions of the original 6 games.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, and they're probably going to be going on eBay and whatnot for astronomical prices.
I hope they come out with more. I hope that they see that they were super popular and come out with more, but who knows? I really wanted these, but I'm not going to pay astronomical prices for them because I could just get it on Steam. Anyhow, back to Chrono Trigger.
Sorry, I have a dog who's looking for things to chew on. I'll be right back.
The game's development team included 3 designers at Square dubbed the Dream Team: Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of Square's Final Fantasy series, Yuji Horii, creator of Enix's Dragon Quest series, and Akira Toriyama, character designer of the Dragon Quest and author of the Dragon Ball manga series. So I had no idea there was a connection. I had no idea this is like a dream team. Literally, they called them the dream team, but this is like an unreal dream team of creators. Not only the originator of the Final Fantasy series, but the guy who created the Dragon Ball manga series and designed the Dragon Quest characters, and the guy who created Dragon's Quest, Enix's Dragon Quest series. I really had no idea that there were so many it really was like a dream team, like they said. This RPG has players jumping through time to multiple points in a fictional planet's timeline to meet allies, grab booty, and defeat a world-ending evil. Which is, RPG, right? World-ending evil. There's got to be, you got to save the universe in every single one.
Yeah, that's right.
It was originally planned as a release on the Super Famicom disk system, or disk drive, as Maru Island Hiromichi Tanak, part of the Seiken Densetsu franchise. But when the disk system was shit-canned, Square reoriented the game for release on the Super Famicom cartridge and rebranded it as Chrono Trigger. I think they also kind of scrapped what they had going, and kind of restarted development at that point as well.
I love how you put shit canned in the notes too. Like he didn't just say it, he literally wrote it out in
Oh, yeah.
in the notes.
You got to write like you speak, you got to write in your own
Perfect.
voice.
Yeah, that's great.
The original SNES edition of Chrono Trigger was released on the Wii download service, the Virtual Console, in Japan on April 26, 2011, in the US May 16th, 2011, and in Europe on May 20th, 2011. Previously, in April 2008, a Nintendo Power Reader poll has identified Chrono Trigger as the third most wanted game on the Virtual Console, but it took 3 years to get there, which is crazy. The game has also been ported to the iMode. I've never heard of the iMode. The Virtual Console, the PlayStation Network, iOS, Android, and Windows. I believe that iOS Android port was then ported from there to Windows.
It's interesting that it's... I was just going to say it's interesting that it's on mobile, but we still haven't gotten it on the Switch yet.
Yeah. It's on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But not on the Switch.
Well, it's on PlayStation as part of the Chrono Cross version, right? Not...
I believe it was also in like a Final Fantasy collection of some sort.
Okay. Because I looked for it in the PlayStation Store and couldn't find it. Because I was curious if I could load it on my Vita.
Up until the DS version, the game was never released in Europe nor Australia because they didn't deserve it. Price charting has the US version going for $222 loose. This is not a uncommon game either. It's a pretty... No. There's a ton of them.
That was a lot.
Yeah. $703 in cartridge in complete in box, and $2,250 new. I mean, that's new makes a lot of sense.
That price would be higher for new for sure. And then complete in box is completely dependent on conditions. I've seen, and it's actually gone down in the last year or so, because I don't know, a year ago it was well over $1,000 complete in box in decent shape. Yeah, it's gone down a bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about buying a loose copy, but I was like,
pass.
Yeah.
You can, and actually the DS version complete in box is like $100 as well.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Well,
I mean, $100 is a lot for a DS game.
Well, yeah, I guess it's all relative.
Sure.
When I see $200, then I see $100, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. True.
Other regions and versions are also far cheaper. So if you get the European versions or the Japanese versions,
one,
yeah, they're much cheaper. And if you're gonna play it on Steam anyway, and you just want some shelf candy,
the Super Famicom version ones, the box does look pretty sweet, actually.
Does it?
And I think it's only like 40, 50, $60 or something to get one of those.
I put this on my eBay kind of like watch list, but I don't
Sure.
suspect I'll ever buy it. Not that I haven't bought a $200 game before, but
To be fair, I got my copy 8 years ago, and it was part of a bigger lot, so I paid a fraction of what it's going for now, I'm sure.
yeah. I found this game to be utterly enjoyable. I really like. I think it's creative. I think it's fun. I think the battle system to me it's engaging, but in the modern versions, they also have ways to speed it up and to even
Mhm.
kind of automate it. So like with the regular kind of just like bullshit stuff where you're walking from point A to point B and you don't want to be bothered with it, to just be able to like automate that stuff and go really fast is awesome. All the characters are extremely endearing. I don't know, this game. I feel like this is one of those games that just deserves its reputation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild to me. It's just one of those games where it's so popular and everybody loves it so much, and there's millions of copies out there, and yet it's still this expensive and such too. It just goes to show
Yeah.
the notoriety and how much it's on everybody's list, and it continues to be. Which is also why I'm so dumbfounded that there hasn't been a remake of this yet,
Oh, like a full on remake?
like an HD retro style live alive remake. Like, what is holding them up? It's got to be
Well, I mean,
licensing at
that's
this
what
point.
the Steam version is.
It's
It's not that HD 2D graphics like Live Alive is,
sure.
but it is, it's widescreen, it's pixel perfect. It looks and plays great. I mean, it's a nice version. That version, if they just ported that over to the Switch or to PlayStation, I would absolutely buy it.
What are the things? Because I heard mixed reviews about the Steam version. Is there stuff that's
No, it when it launched, it was bad. There was a bunch of weird stuff. Like the text
okay?
was all
They
like this
fixed
super
some stuff.
modern font that everybody hated, but they changed it. They kept updating it, and over the years, they've made it really good. If you look at their Steam reviews now, it's actually really highly recommended.
Okay, I didn't
Um,
realize that they had made a bunch of changes.
yeah, they did a great job. They listened to feedback and fixed a lot of stuff on that. I don't have a full list of all the stuff they fixed. Um, I don't know. I'm looking forward to finishing this game. I'm gonna keep plucking away at it. Again, I'm really in love having this game in a portable version because I could just kind of sit on the couch, get comfy with it, and just kind of, the music is all fantastic. The
Mhm.
characters are all super fun. The dialogue is fun. It's like it's funny, but it's not like over the top.
Sure.
It's just kind of it's humorous. I like it's beautiful. It's just a gorgeous game to look at. Like it really, I feel like top of the line 16-bit graphics. It's launched on a 32 megabit cartridge, which is as high as I've ever heard. Is there any?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I,
the board is gigantic as well. It's like one of those ones that's super tall.
yeah, I like this. I like this game a lot.
Yep.
I'm having a lot of
I'll
fun
have to.
playing through it. I wish I had finished
Yeah.
it for this review, but sadly I have not.
It's. I mean, it's like a. Isn't it like a 40, 50 hour playthrough at
No,
least?
it's only like 20 hours.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh. Well, fuck me.
That's right, Jay. Fuck you. um, anything more to say about Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, I wish that I had gotten more time with it, and I feel like it's only a matter of time before this comes out on the Switch as a, whether it's part of the Switch Online service or
Yeah,
as
it's
an
weird
updated
that
version.
Chrono Cross has come out with a remake, and not a remake, but a
Re-release.
re-release. But Chrono Trigger hasn't. I wonder
Yeah,
if
I
there's
feel
some
like it's only a
licensing
matter.
weirdness.
I would guess this year, to be honest, that they're gonna announce something about it. Like there has to be. Like, why wouldn't there be
Yeah, that actually reminds me.
something?
Did Chrono Cross ever get a physical on Switch?
Chrono Cross,
Yeah.
PS1
No, yeah, the PS1 they redid that, right? They
as a physical. I don't know. I think yeah, I think it got a re-release, but not like a remake.
they did some weird stuff to it. People weren't like super happy with what they did to it.
Yeah.
But still. Yeah, that's all I got to really say about it. I like it. there's so much that has been said about this game that it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to. It's just a charming game. It's just a lovely game, and it's enjoyable to play. And I really like the modern additions, being able to kind of speed up some of the chuff that was acceptable in 1995, but is a little hard to get past nowadays.
Sure.
I do have a game picked out for next week. This is a game that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and this is also going to lead us into this week's pickups.
Nice.
And it is... Actually, I'm going to give you a choice. Is it Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Genesis, or is it Super Ghouls and Ghosts for the Super Nintendo?
Well, let's go with the one. Actually, hold on. I don't know if I have both of those. I know I have one of them.
Okay. You get to choose. I'm giving you the choice. They are two different games. This is not an Aladdin situation. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is kind of a sequel to Ghouls and Ghosts. So Ghouls and Ghosts for the Genesis is it's a port of the arcade version, the Capcom arcade game, but it was programmed for the Genesis by Sega, and they did a masterful job. It's an excellent game.
So, here's where I'm at. I don't own Ghouls and Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
I own the Super Nintendo version, but also we try to do the first game of the series when we cover stuff too.
Okay.
So
I'm not going to do that because that's Ghosts and Goblins, and I hate that game.
Oh.
Hate it.
I do have Ghoul Patrol and Ghoul School, but I don't
Okay.
think those are related. I don't think those are related at all.
A lot of ghoul related stuff. I don't know. Do you want to get the Genesis version? I think it goes for like $50 or $60.
Sure.
Or
So
do you
Ghouls
want
and
to
Ghosts?
play the version you have, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, for the Super Nintendo?
So Super Ghouls and Ghosts is like a sequel.
Yeah.
Let's do the Genesis version then.
Okay. All right. That'll be next episode's game. Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Genesis.
On January 24th.
Yeah. And I am going to start the pickups because I already kind of started. Take a guess. It's Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Genesis.
Nice.
This is
Where'd
one
you
of the
pick
first
that
Sega
up?
Genesis I owned when I was a kid, or games I owned when I was a kid. I'm surprised it took me this long to buy a copy. I was super happy to find a copy. The box is in a little rough shape, but the cartridge and the insert and the manual are all in great shape. So I'll probably just switch it out with like some sports game, and you know how it goes.
I do. Yes.
But I am like super nostalgic for that game. I can't wait to play it. And then when I was at the retro store, I was actually there to buy an arcade stick. I saw they had Super Ghouls and Ghosts like a day after the Genesis game came in. And this is cheap. It's like $20. So I just picked up a copy. I've never really played it. Like I've seen it. I might have like threw it on the mister, like just to see what it was like, and saw that you can't throw your stuff upward. I was like, oh, fuck this game.
It's like it's the dude with the armor, right? And each time you get hit, you lose a piece of armor and you can end up being naked or whatever, right?
Yeah, you're running around in your boxer shorts.
Yeah.
It's a great game. It's hard, but it's fun.
Nice. Hard
but
fun.
Yeah. Another game that I had when I was a child is The Last Battle. This is for the Sega Genesis as well. This in Japan, this released as a Fist of the North Star game.
Okay.
But that was not really a thing in America, so they changed the branding. They took the Fist of the North Star stuff out. But when you punch guys, they still explode into blood, which is kind of neat. And they go flying off the screen. This game is a bit... I liked it when I was a kid, but it kind of fits in. It's what inspired that question I asked you before about like a game that you liked because you didn't know any better. Like nowadays, this game is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to get into. It's like you got to figure out where to go, and it can be a little difficult, just like figuring out the mazes and stuff. But for me, it's nostalgic, and it's pretty cheap, complete in box. So
for some reason, I get Strider vibes from the cover.
I can see from the art how you could get Strider vibes from it, but it's nothing like Strider at all. It's more like a brawler where you just kind of like walk straight and punch and kick feebly at enemies.
Gotcha. Speaking of Brawler, something that I didn't put in the news, but I figured I'd kind of mention is that somebody took TMNT and put it
Oh
in
yeah,
a
they put it in Streets
what
of
was it?
Rage.
Streets of Rage. It
Yeah,
looked like Turtles in Time. Like it straight up
looks
just looked
great.
like Turtles in Time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. That's another ROM hacking thing. If you're unfamiliar with the ROM hacking website, it's really fun. Go in there and
Yeah.
find all sorts of cool stuff. Uh, this one I bought before I got into on my little shooter kick. This was just
Yeah.
good luck. Was Gradius 3 for the Super Nintendo. I picked this up at the game store the same time I was over there buying Super Ghouls and Ghosts and an arcade stick. What I did buy post getting into my shooter kick were 2 modern releases of Genesis games. The first one is Gyarados. This
Oh.
is a reprint of the original game. It was made by Retrobit. They do this a lot, is they do these like reprints. But there's no question that this is a reprint. Like the cartridge is kind of this smoke color.
Hmm.
It's like you could see the circuit board inside the game.
Nice.
Which is cool. I wanted to play this. This is really highly rated. It's got this gold foil on the cartridge as well. I don't know if you can kind of see that shine.
Oh yeah, you can see it shining.
Isn't that neat? So I was pretty excited to receive this. And they sell these affordably. They're like $50. And then this one is a little more interesting because this is a game that never actually came out on the Genesis. This is Darius Extra version. And this came out. This is a port of the arcade version that was done by fans that I believe it was Taito. Yeah, Taito said, "Oh, well, you did such a great job. We're going to release that game," and they released it on the Genesis. And they actually made a cartridge for the Genesis. So this was made by, or it was released by Strictly Limited in an actual Genesis box and cartridge. And it's a new Genesis game because it's never been released on the Genesis before. But I played it already, and it looks fantastic, and it's really fun. Now, it's interesting to talk about the reprints that I've been picking up because there's no mistaking these for fakes, right? This is different box art, right?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Gyarados, and this is a game that never came out. So it's not like I'm gonna send these to WHATA, although maybe I should.
Boy.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited about those.
Nice. This might be your most pickups you've had. I guess Christmas time, it makes sense.
Big Six. I have been home an awful lot lately with access to. I gotta say, I did pick up some games from Mercari. I am not a fan of that website. I gotta be they are a bad phone citizen. They send you notifications for fucking every little thing they could possibly think of.
Yeah.
And you want to leave the notifications on because like you can do like smart searches, and you also want like updates on the stuff that is getting sent to you. But like they abuse their phone privileges to the point where like I don't want this app on my phone at all. It's awful.
Sure.
Not a fan.
Sure.
So I ordered one thing, and then
I'm done with this wave of like Jay going crazy on eBay and Mercari. I finished
I think I caught it.
right around Christmas time. I was like, okay, this is enough for now. And I got the last package arrival while I was gone. So like I'm clean for now.
You clean?
I'll probably pick it back up in a few months, but I also, took a bunch of stuff, things that like that I can't really sell for cash, but I can probably get a decent amount. Like pretty much things that are complete in box, I have to trade in for the most part that I get. So I took a bunch of stuff into the game store, and most of this stuff that I'm going to show y'all is from the local retro store, save for a few things. But I'm just going to quickly go through some of this stuff and then show some more. But some complete in box, lots of complete in box games. So like the classic Donkey Kong for GBA.
So that's an interesting version because there's actually more. Like there's a lot more levels in that than was in the original arcade release, right?
Is there?
That's what I understand. I've never played it myself, but that's from what I understand. It's like it's kind of a sleeper pick because there's like a ton of content on there that's not.
That would make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games too that's like quickly rising in popularity too.
I wonder if because that word has gotten out.
Could be. Mario Pinball Land
I've never
for
heard of that.
GBA,
No
which
kidding.
is like on the back. I don't think I've ever actually played this. It's got like Mario graphics. It's not. It's more like Sonic Spinball or something like that, as opposed
Yeah.
to like a plain old pinball game.
Yeah. Huh. That looks fun.
We got Breath of Fire 2 for the GBA,
Oh, look at
which
that
is
sexy lady.
I'm pretty sure this is exactly the same
Look
as
at
the
this board on the
SNES
back.
version. I would imagine. Yeah, right. There you go. Bending over just for you, Briar.
Sweet.
So I'll do the few N64 games first because I have one more GBA game that you'll enjoy. Beetle Racing
Oh,
Adventure.
I have that.
Or
That's a fun game.
Beetle Adventure Racing. I've heard good things and they
It's
had it at
fun.
the retro store. So
Yeah.
yeah, like of all games to be fun.
Yeah.
Destruction Derby 64. I was on
Oh,
a
okay. I played that on the PlayStation, I think.
I think I played it on PC originally. Around the time I played Carmageddon. Carmageddon and Destruction Derby I really enjoyed on PC back in the day.
Yeah.
This was something they had that I've never seen before and I thought was a fake game. PGA European Tour. I had never heard.
That looks like that box is so plain looking. It looks
It
fake.
is. It looks fake. So I had to do some research. Apparently this was a very rare kind of late N64 release.
Huh.
Just the cart of this goes for like over $100.
Really?
And they had this mint in box copy, so I had to get it because this is
Yeah.
something that only sells on eBay maybe a few times a year in this condition.
That
Was like,
logo
all
with the
right,
sports going around it. That
yeah,
looks fake.
it's not a good game. It's not a good game, but it's
That's
one
too
of
bad.
those like, no, yeah.
Who is that on the cover? Do you know who that is?
He's a South American golfer. I don't remember his name.
All right.
Somebody in chat told me his name, and I don't remember who it was.
All right.
Or I mean, it was either not South American. It's probably Spanish because European tour. I don't know,
Well,
something like that. And then the last game, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance,
oh yeah.
complete in box, was I actually picked up from East Starland because I sent in a bunch of stuff for trade there.
Oh really?
So I have Aria of Sorrow and Harmony of Dissonance now. I just need to get Circle of the Moon, which is actually the cheaper one.
Oh well, that's good. I played
Get-
Harmony of Dissonance when it was new, and I sold my copy. I wish it's one of the few
Yeah.
ones that I traded in.
I don't know why I collect all these Castlevania games. It's not my favorite series in the world. I guess I just really enjoy.
Because
art.
Castlevania is fucking cool, and you're cooler because you own more Castlevania.
Sure. But this next thing I'm going to show y'all will make me less cool.
Uh-oh.
But it's nostalgic for me.
The Gamecom makes you cooler. That doesn't make you less cool.
So
Game.com.
It's a system that doesn't even work, and it came with some games.
It doesn't
But
work.
this is something that is nostalgic to me because when I was a kid, I specifically remember taking some of my Christmas money. I think I had like $100,
Mm-hmm.
and I went into
7
KB
Gamecoms.
Toys. Yeah, I went into KB Toy Store, and this had like just come out. And instead of buying like Game Boy games or something like that, I can't even open it. I decided to buy the Gamecom, and I remember getting Duke Nukem for it as well.
Oh, cool.
And I remember playing it, and I remember thinking, this is fucking terrible.
Oh, I have made a mistake. This is what buyer's remorse feels like.
But the cool thing about this, I was like, I don't know, 12 or 11 or something like this. They also had like a calendar and an address book, and it was like basically a PDA.
All stuff you need when you're 12.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It was very kitschy, but the Lights Out game was actually really fun. It was like a puzzle game.
I heard there's a Batman game for that. That's really good.
There is Batman and Robin. Yep. I don't know. It wasn't very expensive. It came, I got it with like 5 complete in box games. This for $100 shipped. I was like, okay, why not? And that's it.
Did I tell you my story of having to buy a Wii so I could get a Wii
Yeah.
controller?
Yeah, last episode.
I've still been looking. I've been looking for more Wii controllers. I want to get like the official Wii Motion Plus controllers. They're hard to find.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. So, cool.
Cool story, bro.
So what are you doing for the next 2 weeks?
I got a couple of videos planned. I'm all set up shooting video back here. I got a couple of videos planned. I'm gonna do a couple of hardware reviews, and actually, I think I'm gonna do a video on all these shooters that I got. Just kind of like
Nice.
go through them, show people what they are, because they're all over the map. Like some of them are, brand new with RPG mechanics and like big bombastic stories. Some of them are basically, like an excuse to put porn up on the screen. Some of them are, just classic, awesome retro games. Some of them are. It's just one of them is a visual novel. I didn't even realize. I was at Best Buy with my kid, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go look at the PlayStation 5 games. I look at the back, and there's it looks like a bullet shooter, like from the screenshot. So I bring it home, and it's a visual novel game with like 5 shooter levels, every 3 hours of visual novel.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that was unpleasant surprise, but I ended up loving the game. So hey,
Sure. I'll have to check that video out because I want something that's gonna sustain for sure as far as
yeah,
gameplay.
yeah.
Be fun.
They're all over the place. I've been having fun with most of them. The only one I was talking about this on SideQuest is one showed up, and it is essentially like you're a female pilot and you fight other female pilots. They're like the bosses, and when you damage the bosses, it flashes on the screen shame break, and then it shows the girls like in various states of undress, and some of these girls are very young. So it's like very uncomfortable. So I think that one's going right back on eBay because I don't even think I want that in the house.
Mm.
Then I'll probably, whoever I send it to, I'll probably give their name to the FBI.
Open up.
What are you up to in the next 2 weeks?
Probably back to the swing. Actually, I didn't even mention this. So I just got back from CES Sunday, and then this weekend, Friday, we're going to the Great Wolf Lodge for my daughter's 3rd birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard. It's like there's like an indoor water park. There's like little adventure
Fun.
stuff for the kids to do. And basically, Grenader Jake,
Yeah.
he's renting out my streaming space essentially to do a sponsored stream in Oregon. And he's
Okay.
like sending us on a trip. So that's what we're doing, which was super nice
Crazy.
of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then otherwise, streams as normal for the most part.
It sounds like you need a vacation, bro. You've been
That's
going
kinda what
hard.
this
You've been
is.
going hard all fall, like right into the spring or into
Yeah, a little bit.
Christmas.
A little bit. Got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. I hope that you have fun. What was it called again? The Great
Wolf Lodge.
Wolf Lodge. I hope you guys have
It's
fun.
like a family vacation type spot.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for episode 53 of the RetroSlot podcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 short weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.